20 seconds to go. One last gasp for Edmonton. Bouchard's pass didn't click with Draisaitl. 12 seconds to go. Florida trying to end it up against the wall, which would be fitting. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. For the first time in their 30-year history, the Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions. They made it about as hard on themselves as they possibly could, battling a valiant Edmonton team that had rallied from adversity all season long. And Paul Maurice, coaching lifer, 30 years in the National Hockey League, has his Stanley Cup.
What the puck is going on?
This is what the puck is going on for December the 30th, 2024. Your host, Dave Metzger.
All right, good evening. Another short slate this Monday night. That seems to be the theme. But if you're looking for some good action tomorrow, there is a heavy slate. We'll touch a little bit on that here in just a bit. Monday the 30th, last What the Puck is going on of 2024. Steve, how are we feeling about that?
Happy New Year, Dave. Yep, wrapping up another last 3 months of this 2024 filled with NHL hockey, and we'll get 6 more months or so coming up. At least a solid 5 months.
Yeah, absolutely. We're certainly looking forward to that. So let's go ahead and get right down to business. We'll look into the standings here. Eastern Conference, going to go into the Atlantic Division. Toronto Maple Leafs leading this division with 46 points. They are tied currently with the Florida Panthers, holding the second spot technically, even though they are tied at 46 points apiece. The Boston Bruins with 42. Then as follows with Tampa Bay, Ottawa, Montreal, the Red Wings, and the Sabres bringing up the rear in this division. 42 points for Tampa and 40 for the Senators. So these two teams sticking around just like they were last time we did this. So, Steve, in the Atlantic, not really too much movement there. So what are your thoughts there at the moment?
Let's see here. Well, Buffalo's kind of righted the ship a little bit. Everyone at the bottom of the standing seems to be doing a little bit better. Montreal, even with a nice road win the other night. They skunked Florida. I mean, they really put it to them. So that young team's playing good hockey. But everyone in the top half still has a above 500 winning streak to them. The teams at the bottom have put together a couple of back-to-back wins. So some good hockey being played. And even the Bruins narrowing the gap a little bit more as they're just 2 points now back of Florida and Toronto.
Right, and we kind of thought they would. I thought that they would do that, coaching changes. It seems to have brought a different energy to this team. And that roster is pretty good, let's be honest. I mean, we expect them to hang around right there in that third spot. And, you could certainly think of them as a wild card team for sure. So let's get into the Metro. We got some pretty interesting stuff here. New Jersey has taken the first spot in this division with 51 points. Our Washington Capitals a close second with 50. Carolina, 45, so they're about 5 points back out of second place right now. Pittsburgh with 39, and then Columbus, Philly, that is the Flyers, the Islanders, and how about this? Really, what can you say about this? We seem to be saying it every week at this point. The New York Rangers at the bottom of this division. Steve, you mentioned the winning going on in the Atlantic. It has been almost the opposite there in the Metro. Now, a lot of these are just, losses their last game out. So not any real particular losing stretches here besides New York, but they all, lost their last time out. Steve, what do you make of the Metro at the moment?
You just said it. I mean, these teams in their last 10, everyone's within one game of 500, except for the last place Rangers. And last week when we mentioned, watch out, man, because if you continue this trend with the Islanders and the Rangers, you're going to find yourselves in the bottom of the division. And I didn't think it would happen so soon. Here they are just a week later after saying that, and they're literally at the bottom of the division here. Philadelphia playing good enough to jump the Rangers, the Blue Jackets gaining some points in overtime. They've got 3 points out of overtime here in the last 10 games. And Pittsburgh is arguably the hottest team, but still not blowing their doors off. The Devils and the Capitals, you'd like to see them at least try to put some separation together because they still have Carolina lurking right there at number 3. And if they just kind of get on some sort of a winning streak with those two, they can get clear separation from the rest of the pack here. But the Rangers, it's hard to believe. Just 33 points for them, and they've lost 3 in a row now, 2-8 in their last 10, bottom of the Metro.
Yeah, Steve, what a shocker. And you got to think come the trade deadline, once we get to that point, that players are going to be flying out of there. They're probably going to be doing a complete retool there with that Rangers team, I would think. What else can you really do at this point? So let's jump into the West here. We have the Central Division, one that's always usually pretty interesting to us. But there is a little bit of separation between the top 3 teams here. That is the Winnipeg Jets leading the division with 53 points. The Minnesota Wild here with 48. And the Colorado Avalanche with 44. And then it goes Dallas, Utah, St. Louis Blues. Nashville has gotten out of the bottom there. And Chicago Blackhawks take their place. Surprise, surprise, but not really. Worth noting that the Dallas Stars are right behind the Avalanche with 43 points. But Avalanche, they look to be playing pretty well as of late. Same here with Winnipeg, and that's one of the games we'll talk about tonight. So, Steve, the Central is still close, but I guess it's not as close as we would usually think it is. With this little bit of point separation here with the top 3 teams.
When we had concerns about Winnipeg about a month ago when they kind of settled into their playing a mediocre stretch of hockey, they've rebounded really well. They've been sensational. I think they're the class of the division. I think they're the class of the conference, and quite frankly, the class of the league, to be honest. Winnipeg's fantastic, 26-10, just 1 loss in overtime. That's phenomenal. That's only done better by Colorado, who hasn't lost in overtime, and Dallas just with one overtime loss themselves. But getting the job done when it matters the most, winning by margin, and a plus 46 goal differential. That is dominating in that division. That is dominating across hockey. After a plus 46, what you got to look at is teams like Tampa Bay, who are a plus 37, Washington's a plus 37, and then Vegas is a plus 30. There are more teams in the minus goal differential than the plus differential. I'm not sure how that works out. That just tells you how good these top teams are. And Winnipeg's the cream of the crop of that. I mean, they've allowed just 91 goals. They've scored 137. Phenomenal for them. 13-7 on the road. They've only lost 4 times at home. That was the one overtime loss. But they are the clear cream of the crop. And to me, the class of the National Hockey League. And they should be the Stanley Cup favorites. And I know that they're not, but they should be.
Yeah, Steve, I agree with most of that there. So Winnipeg riding the ship. Pacific Division, Vegas Golden Knights leading this division with 53 points, doing pretty well themselves. The LA Kings are in second with 47, and then the Edmonton Oilers, they're with 45. So I think that's a flip-flop between 2 and 3 from the last show. And then it goes Vancouver, Calgary, Seattle, Anaheim, and San Jose bringing up the rear in the Pacific. No surprise there. But the Canucks, worth noting, they do have 42 points, so they're only 3 points out of the first spot right now. So, Steve, I guess you could say the Pacific is, besides the movement at 2 and 3, is kind of the same as we left it last week.
Yeah, that home ice for Vegas still paying off. The 15-3 at home. Winners of 6 in a row. They've been at home, and so they haven't lost. Big winners again last night at home, winning by 3 goals. 9-1 in their last 10. Even with the Kings and the Oilers playing decent hockey, they've been able to gain ground on them. The Vegas is another team with that big goal differential of a plus 30. I don't know if they can hold up with Winnipeg at the end of the day, if it ends up being these two teams in the final or when they meet in the playoffs. I mean, you got to give the goaltending advantage to Winnipeg still, but still impressive. Only 99 goals allowed by the Golden Knights, and they've been very good. A lot, especially after turning over some of their roster and some of their key players leaving for other teams in the offseason. Here they are, just retooled instead of rebuilt, and the Knights are rolling pretty good right now.
Yeah, Steve. So they've been holding that top spot there for quite some time, and we suspect that will continue. All right, well, that is the standings there as it sits. We are, about 40 games through. So how about that, Steve? Just that quick. We're getting close to halfway through this season already.
Yeah, that's about halfway. Yep.
All right, so let's get out of there. We'll open up the slate for tonight. We'll start off here with the Florida Panthers hosting the New York Rangers. Minus 1.5 for the Panthers at plus 124. Your over-under is 6 tonight. That is 6 even. Plus 164 for the Rangers on the money line, minus 198. So let's check out the goaltending matchup here tonight. I've made a play on this game, but let's check out the goaltending matchup. We have Igor Shesterkin, a good goalie for the Rangers. That hasn't really seemed to be a difference lately. Sergei Bobrovsky in goal for the Panthers. I'm not sure with this matchup if I like the over. So, Steve, what I went ahead and did in this game is, in my mindset here, I think the way to attack this is you look at the Rangers really struggling, a team that we thought was going to be much better than they are. And I think you have to kick them while they're down. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers here. My pick would be minus 1.5 on the puck line, plus 124. I think if you wanted to push the envelope a little bit, you probably could. And you'll get a nice number out of that if you want to do that. We'll check that out real quick. Let's go to the puck line at plus 220 for minus 2.5 for the Panthers. I think that's probably playable. But I'm not going to push it too much. I'm going to go with the Rangers or the Panthers, Steve, -1.5. What are your thoughts here with these two teams?
The Rangers' total goals at 2.5 -108 tells you everything you need to know about how they've been playing offensively. I mean, that is a real cheap number for any team, much less the Rangers, especially the Rangers of yesteryear, the couple years prior being phenomenal and able to score goals. But this is a stay away from me. I would lean under in this scenario. I think this is probably one that's going to be tough. Florida's not exactly blowing the doors off of people either. They've been struggling a little bit. It seems like they struggled, got out of it, and they've kind of gone back to their struggles a little bit here. Neither team is at a trustworthy spot for me at the moment. You still have two really good goalies in that at the end of the day. So I would lean on the under 5.5 at +110. I'm going to stay away because I just don't need that. I don't need to be rooting for hockey under on a Monday night right before New Year's.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. So I'll stay away from this game, but it would be under or nothing for me.
Yeah, Steve, I like that call. I could definitely see that. Panthers at home. I'm just kind of hoping that they kind of catch fire here. Use that home ice advantage.
It will not shock me if the Panthers win this game 3-1, 3-0, like you said, 4-1, something like that. Yeah.
Right. But hey, 3-1, and this game goes under. So I like that call. I definitely, I could probably see that as well. So our next game up going to be the Winnipeg Jets hosting the Nashville Predators. You can kind of figure out how we're going to go with this one. Your goaltending matchup tonight is going to be Connor Hellebuck versus UC Saros. Oh, man, that's a really good goaltending matchup again. This could be a night for the unders. It really could be. The next game that we'll talk about, did a little research there, and they're not scoring much either. So it really could be an under night here in the NHL with these three games. We'll get to the lines here. And they are as such. Winnipeg -1.5 on the puck line at +190. Your over-under here, again, is 6 even for this one. +110 for Nashville on the money line. That seems very that doesn't seem right to me. That seems a little low. -130 for the Jets and +110 for the Jets on the 60-minute line. And I think that's kind of where I would gravitate to. This Winnipeg Jets team at home has been, just fantastic. And there's no reason really that you would think that they can't continue this against a Nashville Predators team that is, somehow still trying to figure this thing out. And they need to do it sooner rather than later, or they're going to run out of time. And with where they are in the standings, that also could be sooner rather than later. So, Steve, with the Jets and the Preds, what do you think here?
I can't believe the Jets are just -128. That's shocking to me completely.
It really is.
Nashville only has 3 wins on the road all season. They've won 3 times on the road all season. Here we are getting ready to go into 2025. That is horrendous. It's not like they've been playing great lately either. They have way too many goals. They can't score goals themselves. Although, yeah, they're a little bit closer to 500 in their last 10, maybe playing a little bit better than what they have all year. They're still right there at the bottom of that Central Division. This is a game that should be a layup for Winnipeg to gain points here. And I expect Winnipeg to get both the points available. They'll win this game. I'm not saying they'll blow them out because, like you said, you still have 2 really good goalies. The under sounds like a good play as well. But Winnipeg's explosive. They've scored a total of 43 more goals. I'm sorry, wrong number. They've scored a total of, 49 more goals than Nashville has. on the season. So give me the Winnipeg Jets here. I think they can win this game in regulation. I don't think we need overtime here. And if that's the case, if they're just minus 128 on the regular money line, you'll get plus 120 at home on the 60-minute three-way. So give me the Jets on the 60-minute line. Plus 120.
Yep, that's what I went ahead and played that, Steve. I think that's just they are in a great spot to do this. And you know what? I wouldn't be afraid to look at that minus 1.5 at plus 190 for this matchup. I mean, that seems like, you're getting the better number out of that for this puck line play at minus 1.5, Steve. And I don't know, that's something that I will definitely take a look at here. And that might get, I might take a little shot on that one. Is basically what I'm saying. I wouldn't be afraid to do that as well. So let's talk about our third and final game of the evening. And this one, I tell you what, it doesn't excite me very much, Steve. We'll see if you like this one. The Utah Hockey Club is in Seattle to take on the Kraken. Your goaltending matchup for this one, all I have is Vejmelka right now, and I do believe that is the goaltender for the Kraken. So, Utah Hockey Club goalie to be determined. This one really, to me, is a stay away. But I think if you wanted to find a play here, and I think the simplest one is your under. And the Utah Hockey Club is minus 1.5 at plus 164 on the puck line. Your total is going to be 6 tonight. So all these games are at an over-under of 6. Minus 155 on the money line for Utah. Seattle is at a plus 130. And I think the way to attack this is, pretty simple. You move this one back. And what I mean by that is the total. We move the total back to 6.5 is at minus 135. I don't mind that at all, really. Steve, you said you didn't want to play the unders. I totally get that. I probably wouldn't either. But I think this is a game for the under. What do you think here in this? I don't know. It's not a very exciting matchup to me.
It's two bad teams. You're talking about only 3 wins for Seattle in their last 10. But Utah does have 6 wins in their last 10, but they have 3 losses in a row. So you have 2 teams trending bad right now. It's going to have to be a pass for me. Utah is 11-6-2 on the road. Seattle just 8-8-2 at home. Utah's probably the better hockey team. 16-13-6 is their record. Seattle 16-9-2. So they actually have the same amount of wins. Utah 35 games played, Seattle 37 games played for them. A pass for me. I get what you're saying with your under. I want no piece of this game at all.
No, Steve, I couldn't imagine that you would. I don't really either. Just not a very exciting one to me. All right, Steve, that is the slate already for the evening. Let's touch on some of these games of interest tomorrow. At 12:40 p.m. So we got a day game here.
Yeah, we got lots of day games. New Year's Eve, lots of day games. Basically, a lot of these cities are clearing the way for their celebrations later in the evening. They don't want to have everyone downtown looking for fireworks and partying in the streets when the hockey games are getting out. So they'll try to knock them out as early as possible. Even your later starts are a little bit earlier, and they're on the West Coast for the most part. Colorado at 8 o'clock Eastern face off. So that's legitimately 5 o'clock their time. They'll be done by 8 o'clock, and then you can get on with your New Year's Eve plans. So yeah, and don't forget we have we'll get to it, but we have a Winter Classic game tomorrow too at Wrigley Field. That is at 5 Eastern with the Blackhawks and the Blues. But yeah, first early game is a good one. Maybe the best game of the day. Good matchup last week. Now the Capitals didn't have Ovechkin, and the Bruins were able to beat them at home. We'll see if, and I was expecting the Bruins to carry that momentum on the road, and they quite haven't. So it'll be interesting to see what the Capitals have for them. A little bit more life in the skates as well with Ovechkin back in the lineup for the Caps. I think it's a cheap number. I would take the Capitals minus 140 anyway on this game that's happening at noon tomorrow.
Yeah, I have almost the same number. 12:30 puck drop. I have almost the same number. Rematch these teams played about 8 days ago. Washington should be pretty motivated at home. As you mentioned, Ovi back in the lineup. And he scored twice already, Steve. So, hey, welcome back, Ovi. And then you have the Maple Leafs are playing the Islanders at 110. Same number as the Capitals, minus 142 for the Islanders. I would take them on a 60, either a 60-minute line or a money line straight up play. Steve, you like anything here with Toronto and the Islanders?
I think Toronto can win this game handily. Another bad team here with the Islanders on the road. Toronto can score a lot. They're not going to be able to match goal for goal. And if they can get an early onslaught, get up 2-0 in the first period, and I think it just goes downhill for the Islanders. So I would look for Toronto to do very well tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so too. Vegas is at home against the Canadiens. There's a shot for maybe a puck line minus 1.5, 2.5 for the Golden Knights versus the Canadiens. Steve, could you get interested in any of that?
It's a young Montreal team. They've been playing a little bit better as of late, but they're spending the night in Vegas, and it's New Year's Eve. So the hometown Vegas should have a decisive advantage here. I think this is another game that you can do an alternate puck line on. In fact, if you want to risk minus 3.5 on either Toronto and Vegas, and actually parlay them together, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, Steve, that's maybe something we look at there, a little action for tomorrow. The Devils are out west. They are taking on the Anaheim Ducks. That's a game that I feel like New Jersey should handle pretty well. Maybe a chance again here for a puck line or an alternate play on that. Minus 1.5 for New Jersey is at plus 102. That kind of tells you the story there. What do you think there with New Jersey? You kind of get that same feeling?
Gibson's day-to-day, I see on the injury report, so I'll expect that he doesn't play, and that's just going to be better for New Jersey to be able to win on the road here. Again, I think this is another game you can probably do an alternate puck line with the Devils.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what I would try. And maybe you could do it again here in this one, Steve. It looks like we may have some mismatches here. We have the Carolina Hurricanes are in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. Minus 1.5 for the Carolina Hurricanes, plus 114. Do you see another opportunity here?
I can't trust Carolina. Every time I play them, they only scored 2 or 3 goals. Columbus, even though they are, they're better now. They were at the bottom. Now they're middle of the pack thanks to the Rangers and the Islanders. 15, 16, and 6. They still have scored 123 goals. They've given up 133, just at the minus 10. But they have matched at least Carolina goal for goal here. I think this is a tighter matchup. Columbus not bad at home, 11-4-3. I mean, that's actually pretty good. And Carolina's 8-9-1 on the road. So I would actually take a look at Columbus in this game. I'm not willing to throw my Carolina in the same basket with these other games that we talked about.
Right. Okay. I get that, Steve. I just kind of think, you know what? Maybe the over is the way to go in that one. Minus 105. We've seen that Columbus is able to score goals. So maybe that's the way to attack that one there. Buffalo Sabres are not hosting, sorry. They are traveling to Dallas to take on the Stars. Trending better for Buffalo, as you mentioned, but I don't know. Dallas at home, I kind of put them in the boat with Vegas that when they are at home, they seem to play their best, and they are hard to beat at home. That's for sure. Steve, minus 1.5 is plus 120 here for the Stars. Do you get interested in a puck line here, perhaps? I mean, this is really kind of a mismatch, Dallas and Buffalo, even though, again, Buffalo trending better. The over-under here is 6. I don't like that. I can't really get a goaltending matchup either. That's the one thing that I don't like here with these games the next day. They don't usually tell you here on the book what the goaltending matchup is going to be. But I got to figure it's going to favor Dallas. What do you think there, Steve?
Dallas coming off a 4-goal victory on the road at Chicago yesterday. So they are trending the right way. Let's see, the Sabres playing better, right? They won 3 in a row, but they can't score. Dallas is stingy. They kind of grind you out. I'm not so sure Dallas will win by a 4-goal margin here, but I would not doubt Dallas on a 60-minute line or even minus 1.5. So, yeah, I would like the home team here.
All right. Pittsburgh is in Detroit to take on the Red Wings. Your over-under there is 6.5. I think that's where I would initially gravitate to in this one. I got to think Pittsburgh is a little bit better of the team. They're plus 105 on the money line. I think it would probably be pretty fair to take them on that as well. Steve, what do you think here? Pittsburgh, do you kind of feel that same way? They're just a hair better than Detroit, possibly.
Yeah, I think even more than a hair. Detroit's not very good at all, and Pittsburgh's been trending better. It seems like if there's been one team who's been bad, who's gelling and correcting all of their issues, it is the Penguins. So I would look at Pittsburgh on this, but I'm not going to get overly invested. I think there's probably better plays on the board at the end of the day, but I would favor the Penguins myself.
All right. And we have the Flyers. They are out west as well. They're taking on San Jose. I think this is going to be a complete pass for me. Flyers probably the better team. I don't really want to trust them, though. Steve, you got anything for Philly and San Jose?
I'll pass on this one. The Flyers are definitely the better team here, but they've leveled off a little bit. It's not like they score a ton of goals either. They give up more goals than they do score. That's kind of the way San Jose plays. So maybe an under type of game, although they're both very, very, very leaky. So if this goes super over, I wouldn't be shocked either. It's going to be one or the other.
Right.
The irresistible force against the movable object. So expect a 2-1 or 5-4.
Yeah. This game, there's probably no in between here with this one. All right, next game tomorrow. Winnipeg heading to Colorado to take on the Avalanche. Avalanche winners of, I believe, 3 in a row, and maybe a good spot to get a quality win against Winnipeg, knowing that they are going to be playing a back-to-back. The book certainly favors that, minus 170 for the money line. I don't know about that. Your over-under is 5.5, so we're gravitating towards a lower scoring game. And with 2 quality teams like this, I could probably see that. Minus 1.5 for the Avalanche is at plus 142. Even though Winnipeg's on the back-to-back, just a very, very good team, and you got to figure they're going to know how to handle that situation. Steve, Winnipeg and Colorado, maybe a bit of a tough one to handicap. What do you think?
I'll take a shot with Winnipeg at plus 220 on the 60-minute line. If you're going to give me Winnipeg to get over 2-1 odds to win in 60 minutes, then I'm going to take it. I don't care who they're playing. Colorado's been good, but they have some injury issues themselves. And I think at the end of the day, better defensively here than Colorado.
Okay. All right. You're going to take a shot with your Winnipeg Jets there, Steve. I like it. Nashville, they're going to be on a back-to-back against a tough divisional opponent here, the Minnesota Wild, minus 1.5, plus 160. I think I would give that a shot for Minnesota at home. Over-under here is going to be 5.5, minus 155 on the money line for Minnesota, plus 130 for Nashville. Steve, you think that's pretty fair for Minnesota with dealing with a Predators team? Doesn't score much, and they're going to be on the back-to-back. That is usually not a recipe for success. I think Minnesota in a good spot at home. What do you think?
I think Minnesota's the best team in the league that I can't trust. So for that fact, I'll lean towards an under here. I'll stay away from it, but this sounds like your prototypical under 2-1 game to me. Minnesota wins 2-1 over Nashville. Nashville, like you said, on the back-to-back. But the Wild, I just can't trust them.
Yep, understandable. Very well put. Utah also going to be on a back-to-back. Boy, they are in a bad spot with this game. They are in Edmonton to take on the Oilers. Minus 105 is plus 110 for Edmonton. Your over-under here is 6.5. I think Edmonton's going to have to do most of that for you, so I think there's probably a better play. Plus 190 for Utah on the money line, minus 230. So I think this is a Oilers 60-minute line type of play for me, or an alt puck line. They should really be able to take care of business taking on a Utah Hockey Club playing the night before. Steve, what do you think in this scenario? Good spot for Edmonton at home?
Oh, yeah. This is one of the better plays of the day. I'll end up doing a minus 3.5 puck line, alternate puck line, round robin. I'll go ahead and include Toronto, Vegas. Edmonton will be my other choice. And then I'll take probably Winnipeg on that 60-minute line to round it out. But, yeah, this has blowout to me written all over it.
Yeah, it's certainly the feeling I'm getting from that one. And then a game that's probably going to end up being a stay away to finish off the night, Vancouver taking on Calgary. That one is in Calgary. Minus 1.5 is at plus 220 for the Flames. Your over-under there is 5.5, minus 108 on the money line for Vancouver, minus 112 for Calgary. And I'm not so sure that I get that. I actually think that Vancouver is the better team. So I think that's who I would take a chance with if I was to play this one. Steve, you got anything for this one?
Eerily similar to these teams. And like you said, I think Vancouver is slightly the better team here. So it'll be a pass for me. But both of these teams in the standings, as far as goals allowed, their record, even goals scored, I mean, they are really mirror each other a lot. So I'll pass on this battle of Canada between Vancouver and Calgary.
All right, I like it. All right, Steve, that is the slate for tomorrow.
You got the Winter Classic, St. Louis and the Blackhawks.
Yep, that's the outdoor game. We'll definitely, I know I'll definitely be looking into that one. Those are always so fun to watch. Even if it's not the greatest matchup, that's just one of the better games in hockey that they do every year. And again, it's just so fun to watch these two teams outdoors, just like the good, the old days, Steve. So you're going to be checking that one out?
Yeah, I'll watch it. Go ahead and give me the Blackhawks to get off the snide here against the St. Louis team who is subpar themselves.
Okay. I like that. I am going to go with the Blues just to be the opposite of you there, Steve. So we'll root differently there. Let's check out the division real quick. We have the Atlantic Division. The Panthers are at plus 120. The Leafs at plus 230. Tampa is at plus 250. I would like that number to be maybe a little bit better. Boston, 18-1. Maybe that's where we can land with that one. And then you have the bottom four of Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, and Montreal. The only one I could maybe see coming back at a 35-1 price would be Ottawa. But I think if we're just looking for the numbers, I think the Boston Bruins at 18-1 in the Atlantic. It's definitely worth some consideration knowing that they aren't that far off of first. Steve, do you like anybody in the Atlantic?
I think Toronto's probably the team who wins it at the end of the day, but don't count out Tampa. I mean, you say that every week as well. Tampa playing as good as anybody right now. I'll tell you a parlay at the end of this. But it's Toronto or Tampa for me.
Okay. Central Division, we have Winnipeg minus 105. So they're the heavy favorite right now. Dallas plus 350. Minnesota 4-1. Colorado 5-1. And then, you can just probably forget about it. Those are the four teams in contention for that. Steve, I think you had some Winnipeg plays at some good numbers. I think you did that for the conference. But would you take anything out of the Central?
Honestly, if you had to try to go ahead and pick something, maybe you have $5,000 you need to spend and tie up and not mess with. That's not a bad investment considering where they're standing in their division. I got Winnipeg at plus 110 to win the Central right now. So anything around even money with the lead that they have, that looks good to me.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. All right, in the Metro, the Washington Capitals finally getting some love here. Plus 155 favorite to win the Metro right now. Then there's the Devils at plus 185. They are currently in the lead. Take note of that. Hurricanes plus 185 as well. And then, man, it is such a steep drop-off. 80-1 for the Rangers. You can forget about them. And then it's Pittsburgh, Philly, the Islanders, and the Jackets. Huge numbers there. I don't think that those are probably worth a shot. Steve, the Metro, what do you think? Capitals finally getting some love here.
I see 2-1 on the Capitals. That's fine. I'll take that.
All right, so we'll take our Washington Capitals there. Pacific Division, real quick, minus 140 for Vegas. Edmonton's plus 230. The Kings plus 550. And then the Canucks at 13-1. The rest of them you can probably forget about. Tough play there in the Pacific. You got to think, it's Vegas or nothing probably. You like anything else in the Pacific?
I think it's probably Edmonton's still surging, and the Kings are nice still. You just got to be impressed with how Vegas handles their business at home, to me. Right now, and you can mix and match a little bit here, but right now, if I were to do something like the Capitals, Lightning, Vegas, and Winnipeg, I can get 38-1. That's all those teams to win that division. If I throw Edmonton in there instead of Vegas, I can get 78-1. And if I want to mix match Toronto as well with Tampa Bay, I'm going to get about the same price. So I would do something like that. I would keep Winnipeg. I would keep the Capitals. And then do bets flip-flopping those four with Tampa Bay, Toronto, Edmonton, and Vegas. And if your slot machine comes up, you're going to get a nice payday.
Hey, there you go. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Florida Panthers plus 370. The Hurricanes 4-1. The Devils plus 450. Then there's Toronto 5-1. Tampa's 8-1. That's halfway attractive. The Capitals at 11-1. There's a number that I think I like. As well as the Boston Bruins at 16-1. So anything else there, then you're talking about teams like the Rangers, the Islanders, the Senators. With the way these top teams are playing, I don't see any real chance for them. But Steve, I like the Capitals 11-1 and Boston 16-1. What do you think about that?
Yeah, good prices there. Tampa even at 9-1. What I see is not too bad either. So I would even lean in that direction a little bit. Even Toronto at plus 600 still okay. You worry about them and how they act in playoff time. And I imagine their number won't be too much better at some point. So you'll probably still get a 6-1 to them. But grab time for the Capitals still, I think, with this 10-1 number.
All right. Western Conference, the Oilers still favored. Note that they are third in their division, plus 280 for them. Dallas 5-1, Vegas 6-1. I think I like that a lot to win the West right now. Colorado's plus 650. Winnipeg 8-1. I love that as well. Seeing how they're playing and looking, the way that they are. Minnesota's 10-1. LA's 11-1. And then Vancouver at 12-1. But Steve, I got to think that your good play here is going to be Winnipeg at 8-1 or Vegas at 6-1 while those are still available.
Yeah, Winnipeg's still a good number. They're clearly the class of the Western Conference to me, and they're the fifth pick Vegas-wise. So give me that.
All right, Steve will take that. Steve, all right, it's that time in the evening. Let's pick a candidate for the penalty box. We'll pick a goal scorer, and we'll get out of here just on time.
All right, cue up the referees.
And you're trying to switch 7 guys. Mike, come on.
You can't do that. Dallas Kelly, number 10, 2 minutes for rookie.
I got 82. Tampa, tripping.
All right, Steve, I have a team in mind, but we'll go ahead and start with you. Who's your candidate for the penalty box tonight?
Let's see here. I feel like we always have the same cast of characters for the most part. So I'm going to try to be a little obscure here. Well, go ahead and throw in. I'm going to continue to pick on this team. Let's keep Seattle in the penalty box. And
Okay,
you know what?
like
I'm worried
that.
about the Ducks. I'm worried about the Ducks a little bit too with no Gibson. So we can go ahead and throw them in there as well.
Yeah, Steve, that's a tough loss for them right now. That's probably a lot of the reason they don't get scored on is, more than they already do. I'm gonna keep the same mindset. I'm gonna keep picking on this team until they show me otherwise, and that's gonna be the New York Rangers. It just has to be at this point for me. There's no reason why you have a roster like that is playing that poorly. To me, that's gonna say coaching problem. To me, is what it sounds like, and it is trickling down heavily. So, Steve, give me the Rangers for the penalty box this evening. All right. What you got for a goal scorer?
For a goal scorer for tonight, let's see here. I could probably find better ones for tomorrow. But for tonight, we will go to this. We'll go to this Winnipeg game. And obviously, we need to take them. Go ahead and give me Ehlers at plus 270.
Oh, okay. That is Nikolai Ehlers.
Nikolaj Ehlers. Yep. Nikolai.
Yep. Nikolai
Ehlers.
Ehlers.
Yep.
All right, Steve. I thought that you might go into Winnipeg. I'm going to go into Florida with the Panthers, and I'm going to pick a Carter Verhage goal at plus 195 against the struggling Rangers.
All right. Nice.
All right, that is the slate. That is tomorrow's slate. We looked at some futures, found some good numbers that are still there. Steve, before we get going, do you have any programming notes?
Yeah, we'll do an edition of Sizzle Lean. Our girl Karen Doherty will come in here and do a fitness show tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will have Saturday and Sunday round robins, 9 o'clock Saturday, 7 a.m. Sunday, breaking down the final weekend of regular season NFL football.
Oh man, Steve, the final regular season round robin. How about that? Yep. Man, that almost brings a tear to your eye, but it had to happen sometime.
Yep, it had to happen sooner or later.
Yeah. All right, that's going to be it for us. Everybody, thank you for tuning in or listening, whichever that you are doing. Everybody here for What the Puck is going on. We wish y'all a happy and safe New Year.
Happy New Year. Hopefully we'll win some bets.
What the puck is going on?
All right, we're out.